This feels like an old Super Soft. That's why I like it so much.
Honestly, if I didn't post first, I'd probably post.
They're good discs. You have to like soft plastic though. I've always been a soft plastic kind of putter. We did have at one time a short position in the woods back over there. It was a little hyzer shot that went between those two big trees in the center of the fairway. It lasted for a couple of years and nobody liked it, so we yanked it.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not know there was ever another 10 on this hole.
It didn't last long.
Alright, so we'll take a short break from talking about Warriors.
We can continue to talk about Warriors. Well, what are you going to talk about next? Because Warriors is part of one of my plans.
Well, the thing I was going to talk about is I feel like, one, not a lot of people realize you were 1,000 rated at some point, because I feel like everybody knows you more for being a tournament director.
Yeah, the newer players, yeah.
You've run two very successful majors.
Well, I mean, overall, yeah. I saw the problems with them, but...
I mean, but overall, I don't think
nobody bitched at me about either one of them, so I guess I can say
2017 United States Women's,
yeah, and
2021 ProMaster World Championships. I felt like, based off the feedback I personally heard, I felt like you did a good job with ProMaster Worlds, and I've never really heard anybody fuss about U.S. Women's. The
only problems that we had with Women's was I lost a box of trophies. So we're at the award ceremony, and I'm ready to give out trophies, and I can't find a box. So I had to get new trophies made and mail them to the players that got them. But aside from that, everything went pretty smoothly.
And at ProMaster Worlds, we really, apart from the thing that happened at Sugar,
yeah, with the water pipe, yeah,
that was really it. I felt like,
yeah, it was. And nobody, I mean, all those guys in those groups affected were kind of pissed off at the moment. But when each group finished, I went over and talked to them. And they were like, dude, it's okay, we get it. You know, it's a public access park. When you're working in these parks where anybody can be out here at any time, you're going to have instances like that are going to happen. The fact that it happened was bad luck, but it's not out of the realm of possibility at all.
So you've run two majors as the main TD. How many majors have you been a part of, either as an assistant tournament director or just been on staff?
I was a marshal at Am Worlds in Charlotte. I believe that was 2018. And I was a marshal last year in Orlando at Am Worlds. And you may not know it, but Chuck, Spikeheiser Chuck, got the bid for U.S. Women's in 23 at Burlington. So I'm going to be his assistant TD for that.
And were you not also on staff at 2019 U.S. Women's with Bisco?
Yeah, thank you. I knew there was one I was missing. I was trying my best to remember last night. Yeah, I was a course pro, or a TD at one of the courses, yeah.
And you can actually find a clip of you running away from one of the baskets on.
Oh, that was so funny. At L'Oreal, yeah.
Yeah, on Joe Mez's fly.
I was out putting flags down, and they came through with the, it was the whole, it's on the back nine, I can't remember. It's
across the pond.
12 or 13, where you throw a nice tunnel shot down to the water, and then you go left across the pond. And I was at the basket putting flags out for the OB. This is the day before the tournament was supposed to start. And all of a sudden I hear, bzzz, you know, you can tell it's a drone, and I'm like, dang it. So I take off running, and it's like Bigfoot running through the woods looking back. You know?
I remember Zach shared it on Northeast page. So that's 4 majors you've also assisted in outside of the 2 you've run.
Yeah, yeah.
And is there a major you're planning on trying to running in the future?
Yeah, we're going to bid on Am Worlds for 24.
That'd be exciting.
Yeah, and I want it to be out here as well. That's why I'm getting really excited about spearheading some work to get the new 9 put in here, get some new tee pads put in, buy some new baskets for the course, and the fact that it's 2 years away is a big.
That's an incentive to get it done.
It's a big plus, yeah, absolutely. Because right now with all the renovations that the park has got going on, for us to ask him for any money is not going to happen. But when they get all that done, then I can say, look, that's one of the reasons I'm having a meeting with the park manager real soon, is to get the ball rolling on that. Because I don't want us to have to buy 36 baskets, and I don't want us to have to pour 36 tee pads. I want them to do it. Because they can. I mean, it's a state park, and we're going to bring a lot of people here.
And it does feel right that a course that has created so much of a community and so many good disc golfers and has such history should be part of a major.
Yeah, it was.
Or a world championship.
We did, you know, field events over on the soccer fields for Masters Worlds last year, but that's the closest
it's ever
that Warriors has been, you know. But yeah, I'm wanting to, and Am Worlds will be MA1 and FA1.
Dead easy.
Yeah, so it's just 2 divisions, and I think we can pull it off with 4 or 5 courses max.
And I think this place could also even potentially at some point have Junior Worlds.
Junior Worlds would be great here. Yeah.
That would actually be really cool.
The problem with that is they've combined Junior Worlds, Pro Masters, and Am Masters Worlds into one event.
So it's 3 of
we don't have the courses to handle that many people.
No, we don't.
We'd have to have probably close to 8 courses.
I also have wondered.
Of course, you know, in the future, you never know.
I also think it'd be cool that if we could ever get to the point where we have a true like gold level, as good as it can get course, which I know we've got some stuff in the works.
Kinser and here and Harmon.
Yeah, because here has probably as much potential as anything.
Well, think about it, Max. If this wasn't a disc golf course and they gave us this property and said, have at it, what could we do here?
Make one of the best course in Tennessee.
It would be. So I'm wanting to get the new 9 established, get 2 18s established, and then drop an 18 gold that kind of flows through all of them.
I think it'd be cool if we could get Champions Cup at some point. The newest major coming out this year.
Oh, well, they're doing that at IDGC, aren't they?
They're doing it at IDGC this year. It's actually been awarded to the toboggan course, Great Lakes Open, for 23. So it's something you can also bet on.
Right. Well, you know, at Masters Worlds, we got a lot of kudos about how beautiful it was around here. You know, just all the different things aside from the golf that people just loved it around here.
And this is actually one of the funny things since this hole's here. I've played with people that walk up to this hole and go, "Wow, this is some incredible elevation."
This right-hand position was not original. The left-hand was Ed's original design on this hole.
Really?
We added the right-hand position later.
I did not know that either.
Inside route.
As parked.
And it's a little wider down than it used to be.
I was going to say, I would never go for that gap.
Oh, I was making that gap really well last year. Every time we play here, I'd go for that gap.
Well, I've parked this whole bunch lately, so that's fair. I would have never thought that would have been the... Because it's a weird hole to me.
See this right here?
Yeah.
These pieces, that's all original work. That's an original tee-pad.
So he was commissioned to do Warriors and what was the other 2 parks?
There were 3 state parks in Tennessee that said yes. Here, and then I don't know if you've ever played Cedars of Lebanon.
I'm not.
It's if you're going to Nashville, you go through Cedars right before you get to Nashville. Okay. Right off the side of the interstate. It's a beautiful course, but it's all Cedar Creek. It is a catcher's mitt disc golf course.
And there was one in
Memphis. That's Meeman Shelby State Park.
Is that the one that got shut down?
I don't know.
I was thinking one of the original 3 was gone.
One of the places I qualified for USDGP was at Meeman Shelby when it was the Southern Nationals.
Oh. Oh, get off of it.
I went to Bowling Green, went to Memphis once, went to Mobile, Alabama twice. And then I got a state rep spot like twice, I think.
So I didn't think about that. How long has Southern National been around?
Long time. Jim Orem started that, Matty O's dad. That's been a long time.
Before you really were playing competitively, or was that after?
Well, I don't know for sure. I would say it had to have been in that same time frame when I first got serious about it, yeah.
How many Southern National events have you played?
At least 4. That's always a long ways away. You know, Memphis, you can get to Canada in about the same amount of time you can get to Memphis from around here. You know, it's a long drive out there. It's like 9 or 10 hours. I like the PDGA. I've heard a lot of my good friends work at the PDGA.
And from my experience, PGA's never at any point been difficult to deal with.
Not for me.
I feel like they've always
It's just like anything else, Max. If you're nice to other people, they'll be nice to you as a general rule. A lot of people disagree with the way the PDGA does things, and instead of being constructive in the way they criticize them, you know, they kind of get in their face and call them out on Facebook
and just fuss.
You know.
Oh, he's got 2 on me.
Uh-oh. After U.S. Women's, one of the coolest things about U.S. Women's, we were at Founders Park doing the putting.
Which is this the one you were in?
2017, yeah. We were at Founders Park doing the putting, and the PDGA guys were out doing the putting layout. And one of the older girls has played in a lot of majors and stuff, and she saw them out there and she was like, that is so awesome.
That they were out there
She's like, those guys never get a chance to do anything.
That is
and they were like, you know, but it was because we tried to think up everything and have it all set so that they didn't have to do any work. One of their compliments was, you know, you did a good job because we didn't have to do anything. They said back at that point, sometimes when they go to a major, they'd end up having to run it. Which World Championships is one thing. U.S. Women's, the TD runs the show. I did registration, refunds, everything, all the way through the tournament.
Really?
Worlds, they run the show once they come to town.
I was going to say, because it was kind of, I felt like at Master Worlds, the biggest thing was you prepared everything, and then you were on site.
Yep. Pretty much. I mean, I helped them all the way through, but I didn't have to worry about scoring. I didn't have to worry about payout. You know, Big Dog took care of all that. That's their job. They own world championships.
So right now, hole 9's in the long pin.
Right.
I guess let's skip 10 and 11. We go to 12.
Sure,
yeah. 12. So when we walk out here, show me where the original pin for this was.
Well, I can tell you this right now. The original shot was a hyzer shot over top of those trees. Those trees over top. That's what we threw. Yeah, they were half again as short as they are now, and we would throw big hyzers over top because if you tried to throw the low skip shot, there's so many roots back in there that it'd stop your shot. So if you had the strength to throw up over the top, that's the way you play it. Now you can't do it now. It's not possible. But yeah, and hole 12, I'll show you that one too. People used to throw thumbers and overhands over the top of hole 12 because the trees were so low.
And 12 used to be in the middle.
Yeah, because they couldn't hit a straight gap shot. So.
That's funny.
Yeah. Either side of the tree.
So who put in the long pin here?
Me.
You did?
Yeah. And you know, in fairness too, so many trees have hit the ground on this hole over the last 5 years. Yeah, it's a whole lot more open than it used to be. And that tree was there, playing with long basket, was a pretty skinny drive. Well, originally, see where all that dead wood's laying up there? Just past it, just barely past it, like a foot or two past it, where the old anchor was. So we would throw hyzer shots over the top, come crashing down and land in here.
That's sharp.
Yeah. And then when the trees got big, the only thing you had was the low skip shot. And people just got fed up with it and we decided to move it over there. And it went long after that. I can't remember when exactly. It's been over here in a long time. Too wide. I get lucky though. It will.
So, who put in what is now the short pin here? Was this also you, or?
I can't remember if it was me or the club, but it was probably mostly me and the club.
Okay.
There were times when we were fairly well organized. We'd have a meeting in January, and we'd have a meeting at the end of the year. We'd probably have one around Lakefront open time, and have a couple of work days. It's never been a highly organized club like, you know, 501c3 or something like that. But I mean, it could be easily. We could get right back to where we were. We could even go farther. It just takes people being willing to help.
Which is a lot harder than I would have ever thought it is.
Well, back in the day, you know, a lot of our club meetings would end in arguments, and I kind of got fed up with it. So, you know, I just, if nobody pushed me to have a club meeting, then I just didn't do it. If everything was going fine, you know, and it kind of just evolved into that kind of, you know, me running the show, and everybody seemed to be happy with it. So we'd have meetings when we wanted to, or if we needed to.
That was about it.
But things have changed now. I am very, very happy with the quality of player that we have locally, and I'm not talking about skill.
Oh, that sucked.
I'm talking about the quality of person, and I'm not throwing off on the people in the past. They were good people too, but right now there's no duds in our club, you know. Everybody's really solid. I've actually been playing pretty good lately.
So 10, 11, did you add?
Yeah, I designed those.
Okay.
I went marching through those woods because I knew I needed 2 more holes. So I just went through there looking for big, cool trees, and obviously you can tell hole 10 caught my eye.
And that's really, I call it the gauntlet. You get through 9, 10, 11, and 12 under par.
Oh yeah.
And you're generally pretty happy.
Yeah, if you can deuce all these holes, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, that's a heck of a run. Yeah, this one, the trees on this hole were a lot lower too, a lot shorter. And you can throw overhand up there and just get it to splash down. You know how it is with people throwing thumbers. It's an easier shot to pull off.
Yeah.
You know, it's a hard shot to pull off a good shot right down the middle backhand.
Alex,
people can do it, but you know, it's not easy.
Alex Hernandez will still thumber this hole.
Does he?
Yes.
Throws it low?
He does.
Yeah.
And I remember when this one was just dead straight.
I like how when you had to put graphics up to let people know what was said, she's the boss.
Yes.
Come dancing, baby.
Is that Park?
That was my best shot ever
yeah.
on this hole. I'm glad it happened on film.
That's Park. What'd you throw?
That was a patrol. So you talking about steady Ed?
So this is a steady Ed hole.
Yes, this is the original hole.
But this
Original tee pad.
This hole's quite a bit different. Because I remember when there were trees.
Yeah. Most people don't know that there was a see that cedar on the right, with the sun shining on the trunk. There was one bigger than that, right in the middle of that gap, and you had to go around one side or the other.
And this was pretty much only played to the short pin.
Yeah, to the long.
Oh, to the long.
The short pin was a club edition.
Oh.
A gentleman named Pete Rice, because at one time there was a line of trees right down the left side of what would be 13th fairway here that made a nice tunnel shot for a little hyzer skip in there.
Because I remember those trees. Those kind of come down right after I'd started like.
Yeah, I was at work at the pharmacy and somebody's out here playing and they're like, the park's cutting down all the trees on 13. And I'm like, what? And they never said why. They just came down and cut that whole line out, which made 13 short eminently easier. But see where the frost is on the ground?
Yeah.
The width of that frost is about how wide that fairway was. And you had to keep it low and you had to skip it.
Because this stuff is bad.
Oh yeah, it's not good over there. Not at all.
So that actually made that.
Oh yeah, now you can swing big wide hyzer and skip it in there. And it's a whole lot easier to get it. Before it was a touch semi-power drive. Oh, that's so bad. You did the same exact shot against Delta.
I did.
A little high, but at least it's somewhat in the gap. Nah, it's short and left. Well, it all gets back to the game. I mean, I've played thousands of games in my life. I've never played a game like disc golf that is more engaging mentally and physically. You know, if you have any type of competitive spirit, which I've cursed with a competitive spirit. Back when I was younger, I would get flying off the handle mad when I didn't play good. And I'm sure a lot of people back in the day didn't want to play with me, and I don't blame them. But that's, age comes, you know, wisdom. But I've always been highly competitive in everything I've done. And when I discovered disc golf, it jumped straight to the top of my I want to be good at this list.
It's really unlike nothing else.
I know. The game of golf in itself is a very fun game. That's why putt-putt's popular. That's why obviously ball golf's popular. That's why disc golf's popular. The game of golf is you against the course. It's lost on people now. Now it's you against Chris. Yeah. Or you against Paul. You know.
See, I'm quite the opposite. I'm cursed with uncompetitiveness.
I love playing tournaments. I would play a tournament every single day if I could. Tournament golf to me is the most favorite thing for me to do in the world.
Pull this off, it'll be really good.
Oh, I'll give you $10 if you make it.
Okay.
What do you give me if you miss?
Nothing.
Yeah, we're both safe.
Oh, crap.
Oh, too hot.
I'm used to being able to switch gears. So this is not a steady 8 hole, is it?
No, this is a club design.
Okay. Was this put in under you, under Paul?
No, this was a Paul John Vern era.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember when they built it. I wasn't much involved. But...
Go in. Oh, I thought it was gonna hold over a little bit longer.
I was hoping it would.
Actually, okay, I do have a question for you. There's a lot of people who can't put in the time or the effort to get better at disc golf, or
right?
Do anything like that. So a lot of times what they do is they run events, try and volunteer to do that kind of stuff. What is the best advice you could give to somebody who is making that decision and that leap to start running tournaments or running a local doubles type thing that you feel is like the most important thing that they kind of maybe don't figure out on their own?
Well, there's a lot to it. It's not rocket science by any means, because if it was, I wouldn't be doing it. But, you know, you have to be organized. You need to know how to work a computer and work, you know, Microsoft Excel. That makes a big difference. It helps you with a lot of computing and calculating. You need to be familiar with how to handle money. You know, a lot of people have created bad reputations over mishandling money. You know, I won't mention any names, but it happened at Wing Deer a while back. So you need to be responsible. That's the biggest key. You've got to be a responsible person. If you say you're going to do something, you got to do it. So if you have that and you enjoy meeting people, because that's that's one of the coolest things about being a TD. You meet everybody just about in the tournament, and they'll come to you, half a year later and say, "Hey, how's it going?" And you're like, "Oh,
I'm trying to remember the name."
I know, it's horrible. I'm the world's worst. But you recognize the face, but you can't remember the name. But they remember your name because you're the tournament director. But so you meet everybody in the tournament. You get to deal with everybody. You get to make new friends. I've got thousands of friends
from running
just from running tournaments. Yeah. But you need to be organized. You need to be dedicated. You can't put stuff off to the last second.
And I feel like there's a lot of emphasis, because I've made this mistake several times. There's times that when I've run something, I've said, okay, we're doing this. And about 5 minutes after I say it, I go, shouldn't have said that. Or shouldn't have done that.
Pre-planning is a big key. If I didn't pre-plan the Worlds and the U.S. Women's and all that stuff, it would have been a mess, But you have to, going into those tournaments, I think one of your questions was what was the hardest thing about running those majors? It was trying to determine where the potential problems are and stave them off so that they don't happen. And there's only certain things about any type of tournament that'll really cause players to go off, and it's poorly marked OBs or lousy organization or not being on time. So you just have to make sure being on time is one of the big keys in my opinion. If you tell somebody you're going to tee off at 9 o'clock, then tee off at 9 o'clock. Don't be wandering around trying to figure out what you're doing at 9:15 and people are waiting. People enjoy a tournament that gets off on time and gets done on time.
They run better.
They do, yeah. So, there's a lot of organization involved. Running doubles, you figured that out,
Oh, Lord, yeah.
Running doubles can be more difficult than running a PDGA.
I think it is.
When you get 60 people showing up and you've got to do a draw, and the last thing you want is to say, redraw, and everybody's like, oh, because half of them got a good partner, they don't want to give them up. That's trying hard.
I need to calm down.
Woo. Yeah, if anybody's looking to start running tournaments, my best advice would be organized, be dedicated, and be responsible. No, there was a thing I found. I was going through the basement the other day just cleaning up some stuff, and I found an old folder that John had given me from back in the day. And one of the things, it had a bunch of report forms from PDGAs and stuff in it, but one of the things it had was how to handle complaints. I need to take a picture of that and send it to you.
Yes, please.
Because it was so funny. But all of it made sense, The first thing it said was when somebody comes up to complain, don't dismiss them, agree with them. Listen to their points. It may be valid, If you bow up on somebody because you think you're the TD and you know everything, that's mistake number one.
Generally, everything, one of the things that I've very quickly found out is generally everything's your fault.
Well, you need to be in that position where it is your fault. Buck stops here. That's the old saying from one of our past presidents. I can't remember if it was Eisenhower or Truman or who it was, but the buck stops here, I'm the guy responsible, bring it to me and I'll deal with it. It's not fun.
No.
But if you sit down and you plan out the event from start to finish and you make sure everything's right and in order, most of your mistakes won't happen.
Oh no. So that is actually a funny thing is I've not played that many tournaments. My first tournament was one that you ran. And I'm definitely not saying names in this instance. But there's other times I went and played tournaments where I never realized how well you run tournaments until I went and played at tournaments that were not well run.
Well, I think a lot of my success as a tournament director comes from my playing days. I'm still playing. But when I go to tournaments, I knew what players liked. You could tell. When the tournament director made you happy, you remembered that tournament. You go back the next year. And if the tournament director made you mad, then maybe you go somewhere else next year. But to me, a tournament's all about the players. It's not about the TD. It's not about the staff. It's about the players. The tournament is there for the players. So you have to identify what the players want and what they hate. And you don't give them what they hate, and you let them have what they want. And generally, it keeps your players happy. Then make sure that your OBs are marked. Holy cow.
I know.
If you don't mark an OB, somebody will land there.
That's usually how
without
it works.
fail. And then they're wanting the free stroke, or they're wanting to not have to get the stroke counted against them because wasn't marked. So you got to get out. You got to walk your holes. You got to make sure your OBs are correct. if you make an info sheet with your OBs on it, well, you got to check hard for typos, make sure you've got everything on there. Double check it, because if you hand an info sheet out and something ain't on it, and then somebody lands there, then suddenly you have an issue and you have to deal with it, you know. Well, and it's, you know, when the PDGA came to town, after Utah Worlds, PDGA really had their hackles up because they got raked over the coals about Utah Worlds, and not all of it was legitimate against them. The TD there he pretty much not great. Well, he didn't do a good job. I mean, he did do a good job in some aspects. Think about that last shot and the stands and the people and just the overall atmosphere of that last hole. That was amazing. That will never be duplicated in disc golf. So kudos to him for getting all that done. But you know, there were other things that he bowed up on him about. So when they came here for Masters Worlds to check the courses, I took them through all the courses and showed them, you know, all the areas of OBs and stuff. And I said it probably 3 or 4 times. Nobody ever lands there. And they're like, don't matter, mark it. Like the cornfield at Harmon on hole 12. That's never been out of bounds. But when we discussed it, they're like, you need to make that OB. And I'm like, okay. I didn't have a problem with it. They're like, what if somebody lands back in there? Then they're trying to throw from there. You know, yeah. It's not really...
Yeah, I actually landed in there, and I never land there.
Did you really?
Yeah.
U.S. Women's, what, hole 1 at Harmon, you had to make road and beyond OB, and the road is behind the tee pad? Well,
that's because I saw somebody grip lock one, I won't name names again, and it went across the street. I never thought about that either. So, you know,
I remember.
When you're setting up these courses, you have to, you know, you have to pay close attention, and it can cross your eyes at times. I've been sitting at my computer like just wanting to fall asleep in the middle of the day because I'm just going through all this stuff, trying to make sure that everything matches.
Okay, branching off of this, this is, I feel like this is a good point to talk about. This was not on my list of questions, but I can't believe I forgot to ask about this, but you're part of DG1.
Yeah.
Which is you, Chuck Conley, and Mike Barnett.
Yep, Sun King and Spike Hauser and me.
And is it correct that your part of DG1 is the course guy morning?
Yeah, I have to get there early to go through all the courses, make sure the OBs are set, baskets are where they're supposed to be, everything's marked correctly. Because in events that size, like Charlotte Ams, you got 8 courses in play and you got 500 some players, you know, the potential for, you know, monumental mess ups is, you know, multiplied when you got that many people.
And I know not everybody watching this will ever have seen, but I paid attention to the PGA event page of Charlotte Ams this past year, and when it was all said and done, I literally told Dad, I said, Tim and Chuck did an amazing job with that. Just watching the pools. Because, I mean, that pool stuff had to be a nightmare.
It was, and if PDJ hadn't pulled our butt out of the fire, we would have literally fallen on our faces last year at that tournament.
You all pulled a magic trick off there.
It was all because of Big Dog. He was on the phone with us till 10 o'clock at night some nights trying to get those. When you do a split pool, when you got one division that's in 2 different pools, it's nothing like you've ever dealt with as far as working with Tournament Manager and Tournament Central. And we tried and we tried and we tried and we just couldn't get it to work. And finally I was like, let me call Big Dog. And he had mercy on us and did all our pools for us. But, you know, hopefully this coming year it won't be like that. But we know we've got him in our pocket if we need him. And that's one of the reasons I'm a big fan of the PDGA, because they've helped me out a lot. You know, there's a lot of stuff I didn't know how to do, and I had to call them and ask.
Literally, if you just call them, they're super.
They're there to help, and now they've got 4 or 5 people now. They're nothing but dedicated to helping TDs. When you call in, you know, you're going to get 1 of 5 people, or 4. I can't remember if it's 4 or 5.
So, how many events does DG1 do?
We do 4. We do January Winter Wonderland, which is down in Brooksville, which is the same basic town that they do Throw Down the Mountain, but we don't use that course.
Okay.
Throw Down the Mountain course is a cattle farm that, as a friend of Mike's, lets him set it up for that tournament. We do 3 courses. Floral Park is like a city park, really cool. Got a lot of cool shots and a few par 4s. What is the name of that? There's a course that's there at Mike's shop at Sun King. I can't remember the name of it. We're using it. And the other one is called the Canyons or something like that. It's an old ball golf course, little 9-hole pitch and putt course that he's turned into. And it's got a lot of cool elevation. For Florida, it's got, you know, crazy elevation. Like Throw Down the Mountain. And then in June, we do Charlotte Ams, which is in Charlotte, all their courses, all the good ones.
Which is a big deal, I feel
Big
like.
tournament, yeah, that's 500 to 600 players typically, which is a lot. We have to hire 8 TDs to run all the different pools, because we have so much work to do, just the 3 of us, and what we've got to get done, that we can't afford to be hamstrung at a course all day. So we hire people in North Carolina to come and work, and we pay them. You know, they get paid to do that.
Do you feel like Charlotte Ams is bigger than Bowling Green, or going to be bigger than Bowling Green?
Bowling Green has had some issues over the past few years that has kind of made their reputation not quite as good as it was. It's still a great tournament. The courses are a lot of fun. My biggest beef with Bowling Green is why do it in April? You know, you get, I mean, like here we had 70-degree weather and it snowed the next. Bowling Green's like that. In April, the seasons are changing. You're going to get weather that's going to be crazy. So I would, if it's me, I'd move it to a better time of the year. But, you know, Charlotte AMS has got, Charlotte, the club and the organization there.
It's really strong.
It is. Mark Huther does a great job of keeping it all organized. And there's a lot of courses. I don't know how many courses they've got in Charlotte proper. It's probably close to 20 now.
Too many accounts.
Yeah. So Charlotte AMS is a big one for us. We bid on that contract and we got it for 3 years. And we're going to, when it expires, we'll bid again. And then we do Appalachian AMS here. So we play here in Winged Deer and Harmon. And we want to expand it. We'd love to get it to 3 pools.
That'd be awesome.
Know, each course full at 72. And then we do the Doc Holiday, which is down in Griffin, Georgia, which the turnouts down there haven't been quite so hot, and we're considering maybe, we don't know that we'll do it, but maybe moving it to IDGC, which would be cool.
I know that if you moved it to IDGC, there'd be a lot of people here. Like, I'd probably go down and play it.
Well, this year at Doc, we didn't have a single lady.
Really?
Yeah, there's no ladies in the tournament at all. And we want ladies to play, you know. And so we're just thinking, we're going to see what happens this year and kind of go from there. But those are the 4 that we run.
And how many tournaments do you by yourself average a year?
I average around 15 typically, but I've culled it back to 14 total for this year, not counting DG1. And that includes cross-state doubles 2 weekends and the Vol Cup, you know, in November. So those aren't sanctioned events. My events this year, I'm scaling back the number, but I'm going to make them more of an event. I was thinking about it the other day. I want to, you know, do the putting, the Puttapalooza down in Centennial Park. I want to do that on the Friday night prior to several events. When we do Suncrest, I want to do something, you know, Zach went down to Georgia and did that Pros versus Joe's Skins game.
Him and Jay Bird.
Yeah, and I want to do something like that at Suncrest. I think we could set up a safari layout at Suncrest that would just be off the chain, and then let people, you know, register to play. You know, like, I don't know who the pros are going to be. I mean, it don't need to be me because I'm not that much of a challenge. But, you know, and depending on what Zach and Chris's schedule are, they may not even be in town. But something like that, I want to make each event a little bit more so that, you know, hey,
a little bit more special. This weekend, yeah, we're going to do putting on Friday night. You know, we're going to play the tournament on Saturday. You know, we're going to go out and eat afterwards, whatever. You know, I want to make my events better, but I want to lower the number because I about killed myself last year. So you've been running events for how many years?
Well, do the math. 2022 minus 1991.
Okay, so for
30 years,
basically
almost.
30 years, and there's still things that you're doing that you feel like you could do better.
Absolutely, yeah. Lord, if I was rich, holy cow. If I had the money, y'all would be stunned at what we could do. I mean, a lot of the stuff I do, just, you know, out of my own pocket or, you know, out of the club budget really doesn't spend any money. I just deposit money at the end of the year every year. But and one thing I have done, I ordered a practice putter for Warriors.
Oh, next hole 20?
Yep, over in the woods to the left of hole 20. It should be here within the week, and we'll get that. Your dad's already ready to come out and help me install it. So, and I want to put another practice putter down below the parking area in the grass on the right side of the road. You know how we sometimes put a basket down there and play that hole?
I like this.
Yeah.
You're giving me fun double stuff.
Exactly, yeah, that's how it works. You can do stuff like that. So yeah, as a TD, like I said up there, I'm nowhere near the best TD and never will be. But I do care about the players and I care about the sport and I'm dedicated to it, and that makes a difference.
Okay. So this is Steady Ed hole, right?
Oh, yeah. Probably his signature hole as far as he was concerned, I'm sure.
I think in the original layout, this probably was the signature hole.
This is the original layout. That's the original tee. That's the original anchor. Replace the baskets. That was the anchor they put in the ground when the course was designed.
Now I feel like Warriors has like 4 signature holes. I feel like
27.
27 I feel like is the ultimate one. I feel like 10 and 11 are.
10 is a great hole.
I feel like 11 is just because of difficulty.
Most people don't like 11 because they think I left that tree in the center of the fairway. The tree that's out there that looks like it's in the middle, because it does look like it's in the middle of the fairway, but my design was to go around the left side of that tree.
Well, if you just don't suck, then the tree's not the issue.
Well,
alright, so we're going to do the ace runs. We're going to play from our furthest.
Okay.
From the basket. So the 5 disc I will be using, pretty much the same 5 I used last time. 2 iBlends Tombs, an Ethos Praxis, 400G PA4, and an old Zero Soft Just Berlin Bark Pure. What are your 5?
And tell them what the nickname is of the...
This disc is paper plate. Because it's so... I don't know, is mine in worse condition than yours? Probably.
Probably maybe the purple one or the green one are pretty close to beat up with them.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
This thing's been abused.
So mine are all Swans. Swan 1 reborns. The 2 gray ones are fairly new. The orange one's brand new. The green one's probably the oldest, and the purple one's next oldest. So, in order of stability, it would probably be something like that, which is the way I'll throw them. Think about when Steady Ed designed this, Whamos and like Midnight
Arrow.
Flyers.
Oh,
Those were the big drivers.
before an arrow, right?
Before beveled edge disc, yeah.
Before the arrow, that's insane.
I think that's what I have.
Yeah, you got an old arrow.
Yeah.
Are you doing it first try? Oh.
I laid in the bed last night thinking I'm gonna get an ace. Nope.
No. Okay. How many times have you aced this hole? Do you know?
10 or 12. Well, no, maybe not 10 or 12. I've aced hole 19, I think 12 times.
I have never.
Probably 6 or 8.
I've never aced this one.
It's been a while since I've aced it.
I'll do it. Do it.
Oh my gosh.
I got a wedgie ace on this hole one time, and it was on my list until they outlawed wedgies, and I had to take it off my list, and then they put wedgies back in, so now it's back in the list.
A wedgie?
Yeah, hitting the cage.
Oh,
It's stuck.
okay. I was like, what are you talking about?
Never heard of a wedgie?
I have not.
Yeah, they just changed that rule back to wedgie count. So that it went from being an ace to not being an ace to being an ace again.
That's cool.
I thought he was talking about he got a wedgie
Yeah, I thought
after
he
he
was like-
threw.
That's what he was thinking about the whole time.
That was flippy.
That is very interesting is you have an ace list.
I started that. I was out here playing a long time ago, 1991.
And your first ace was maybe with one of the coolest discs ever?
Scorpion or Barracuda?
Barracuda.
Yeah.
And what hole was it?
Hole 19.
Hole
We
19?
had played the night before, and I watched David Jones, who's a local pro that lives over in the community over here. He doesn't play now. I watched him ace it. And I came out the next day and we played, and I got an ace. And I was like, heck yeah.
And you kept a list of...
I kept a list on poster board. It's in the basement. If you ever go to restricted airspace, you can see the original list that I kept on poster board. I lined it out with a ruler, and I had the date and the disc and the hole number and how long it was and who was there to see it and what course it was.
Dang.
I've still got that on Excel now.
Where are you at?
174. Most of them, like 100 of them, have been out here.
I was going to say...
But, I mean, think about it. I mean, I'm a product of my environment. If I lived at Smuggler's Notch, I'd have 2 aces maybe. But I grew up at Warriors Path. It's an ace race. And then we built Wing Deer, and there's aceable holes there. And then we built Borden, it's all aceables. So, you know, it's just, you're a product of where you're raised.
Oh! Oh no. Oh.
I have seen that happen. I've seen people go between those forks and park it.
That was...
3 of them had opportunities.
That-
Nice.
Oh.
Little Polish sausage.
Is this outside?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Funny if you say finesse is a lost art, 'cause it really is.
It is. You watch these pro guys play, and I'm not throwing off on them. They've got their game and they play it well. But they don't have a lot of finesse around the basket. Some of them do, but not everybody.
How is it you learned finesse? I know the story, but...
Oh, went to the beach.
The
Went to the Outer Banks on vacation. Me and John and another guy that used to, I don't know if you ever knew him. He worked at Larry's Cycle Shop down in Kingsport, Don Ferguson.
I know the name.
We went to the Outer Banks, and we went to a place called Portsmouth Island, which is an uninhabited island. It's a fishing island, but they have cabins that you can rent. So it's pretty much primitive, but they're cabins. No power, you have to take all your food. But we got out there on the beach throwing frisbee, and John had a couple of 100-gram AVRs.
100 gram
100-gram AVRs. And I learned how to throw that disc over that week, or however many days we were there staying at the beach. How to fan grip and how to manipulate and throw, because you know on the beach you're either throwing headwind or tailwind. So whichever side of the beach you end up on, you got to deal with it, you know. Or if you're throwing in like a triangle, you know.
And that's how you learn.
That's how I learned how to throw putters. And Vic Vickers told me a long time ago to learn how to throw putters because they're, you know, it's very important. So, you know, most of my time when I was playing really well, I didn't have a mid in the bag. If it was under 250, I would throw a putter, and if it was over 250, I'd throw, you know, a fairway or a driver. So I never liked the way a rock felt in my hand, so I never threw them. And then, but since then, you know, things change, and my body changes, and my game changes, and I've got mids now because I can't throw my putters as far as I used to.
So you'd say the biggest piece of advice for somebody starting out in disc golf, throw putters?
Learn how to throw your putter, yeah. So this is not the original tee. This is a club tee. That's the original.
Let's go over there and play that one.
And when he designed it, that big dead tree that's laying on the ground on the left was massive. It was bigger than any tree you can see right here. And it had these V limbs that would come out of it, and they'd form a V. And there was like 3 of them. There was a low one, and then there was one a little higher, and there was one a little higher, and they all were basically shaped the same. And so that tree, for as long as it stood, always presented that V limb as your obstacle. And then the bottom one broke off and the gap got a little higher, and then it broke off and the gap got a little higher, and basically the whole tree fell. And you know, now it's just an easy ace run.
I don't think we'd hardly ever play this tee pad.
I will do it when I was running flights before y'all took them over. I would do it at least once. I would play one flight. We'd play from here.
I occasionally like to do it in doubles just to mess with everybody. Oh my gosh!
That's the other interesting is you come from the era of there wasn't really instructional videos.
No,
You just learned to throw the frisbee.
One of the coolest things I ever did was at Winthrop before USDGC when we were playing that Carolinas Open I was telling you about. Everybody knows hole 5 at USDGC, big long all along the water, and you throw over the cove. Most people don't know there's a tee up by the road, and from that tee you had to throw turnover over the cove to the basket. And it was like not quite 400, but close. And I was playing that tournament that year, and like you said, there's no videos to watch. You just had to copy other people. And I was playing in a group with Larry Leonard, and I watched him throw this beautiful turnover right over the water, and he parked it. And I'm like, I can do that. And I did. I actually pulled it off.
Really?
Yeah. But that's how I learned, was by copying other people.
And it's funny because I know Larry Leonard's name from digging through the past PGA tournament stuff. He was good.
He's probably won more lakefronts than anybody. When we get up there to the board, we can look it up.
Okay.
He was dead eye with the arrow. He never missed.
Oh, that's so bad.
But I mean, discs and the way they're manufactured has changed so much over the years. You know, back in the day, if you bought a Viper or a Stingray, you could count on the fact that the next Viper or Stingray you bought was going to fly exactly like that. And that's not the case anymore.
No, now they have runs.
Well, now they're just under such mass-producing pressure that they don't give each disc the amount of time it needs to be to come out consistent. That's what I've been told. Whether it's truth or not, I don't know. I've never been in a shop where they're making discs, but I've talked to people who make them.
So I do know that so having consistently made discs does 2 things. It hurts you. It's both helpful and hurtful because the less consistent a disc is, and the more varied the runs are, the more those runs are worth money in the future.
I can see that, yeah.
Which makes a collector value go up more, makes that kind of whole aftermarket go way up in value.
Yeah.
Hurt your actual retail.
Yeah.
The more consistent your discs are, easier it is to sell them off the shelf, but your secondary market, don't even bother.
Yeah.
That's good. This is a steady hole, right?
Yep.
Man, my aim was just straight up off.
Well, that's better when you did against Josh. You were putting up from above the bench.
How many courses have you designed?
Around 30.
Around,
The
really?
majority of them are hybrid layouts.
Okay.
Yeah, but my permanent courses, helped John design Steel Creek, the original 9. Helped John design the first 9 at Persimmon Ridge. Sugar Hollow I did. Coombs Center. Most people don't know about the Coombs Center. It's in Abingdon. Fraley Park, Big Stone, Rogersville, of course. And then, you know, Hilton Head, I did 3 different layouts there. I've done all kinds of hybrids and redesigns on, you know, local courses. And Suncrest, even though it's not done yet. Also, people don't know about Mount Carmel. They've got a little park in Mount Carmel. I just put 9 in there. They've not got the baskets in the ground yet, but it's coming very soon. They've got the anchors, they've got the baskets, they just got to do the work.
I had no idea either.
Do you want to tell people what a hybrid is if they don't know what that is?
There's actually people who don't know that.
Well, it's my term. I don't know if it's come from anywhere else. I started calling them hybrids because they're a combination of ball golf and disc golf. Disc golf on a ball golf course. So what we do is we get with the golf course on times when their income levels are low, when they do greens maintenance, and they let us come in and set up a temporary layout on a 9-hole section, and we play a tournament, 2 rounds, and go home. And so we've done a lot of those since 2015. The first one I did was at Steel Creek Park. They've only got 9 holes. And it went over really well, and I was like, well, if I buy me some baskets, I can do this all the time. So we got the park to let me do it at Warriors Path, and the course pro there was real happy with how everything went. And so then I approached Meadowview and Graysburg. I've done one at Tri-Cities. We only did that 1 time, but we've done one at Tri-Cities over in Blumpville. Me and Brandon Bedingfield designed that course because he's got a friend that works there and wanted to do it. It didn't really work out all that great because it was horrible weather and you only had like 30 people show up, so it just kind of got shuffled to the back. I could go back and do it again if I wanted.
I was going to say, now you do a hybrid, they generally fail.
Oh yeah.
So Warriors was the first one you did outside of Steel Creek. Which layout was that? Was that 411 or what?
That was the 411 side. Yeah, the back 9. Because I played ball golf. I've been playing ball golf longer than I've been playing disc golf. I played in middle school for Colonial Heights and played for South in high school, so I know the game of golf better. And I played Warriors many times and knew the back 9 had a much more, to me anyways, that was where I wanted. If I'm going to play ball golf at Warriors, I'd play the back 9. So I felt like that was where I wanted to start. But then after we did Whitetail Ridge, everybody seemed to like it better. So
I'm actually the way around. I prefer 411.
Yeah, the 411 changed a lot though. You know, we had that 1 hole, the little shorty down to the water's edge that nobody liked.
Yeah,
it was super tight and super short.
She had told me about it, and I was like, I don't really remember him doing that.
Did it for like 2 years, and then that tree fell, which pretty much ruined the hole. So I did a redesign on it.
My favorite is Clear Creek.
Yeah, Clear Creek.
Harleywood.
Yep.
That is my favorite tournament I play each year. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's. I think that's one of the thing I like about it is you don't have to throw far at Harleywood to win.
No, you got to keep it in bounds because there's a lot of OB at Harleywood.
Yeah, it's placement.
Did
shots.
the Pine Oaks for the
Pine Oaks for US Women's? Yeah, that was a fun one. Never got to play it.
I didn't either.
Designed it and never got to play it. Only threw just very few shots out there, you know, during the design phase. And then Paige once goes out and shoots like a 14 or 15 under that last round. Donna liked it because that was her last round course, and she held on to her lead. I can't remember what she shot, right around even or maybe a couple under or something, but she liked it a lot. And getting back to what's it like to live with a world champion, you would never know about living with her. She doesn't wear it. She's so humble. She feels like she's a good player, but I tell her all the time the legend of Donna is real. You know, but she just kind of brushes it off like I'm just, you know, pumping her up because she's my wife. But she's great. I mean, she has got a pedigree that most female golfers won't have. You know, she's won Worlds putting twice. She won it in '95 and '96 at Worlds, Open Pro putting.
I did not know this.
Oh, yeah, she won twice.
What the heck,
and
Donna?
That was back, you know, when the only time we'd see her would be Lakefront Open and the flights, you know. But her and the guys she was dating, they would make a vacation for like 5 or 6 years in a row. They went to Worlds, no matter where it was, they'd go.
Well, I remember when the Pro Worlds came in and everybody was talking about all these, you know, legends and people come in, you know, and I got to thinking, I was like, you know what? I get to play with Donna Barr.
So, 2 things I'll say about Donna is, 1, in every putting league we do, period, Marksman League, Cosmic, it doesn't matter. If I beat Donna, I felt like I putted good.
Absolutely, yeah.
Period.
I'm the same way. And I rarely beat her. I do every now and then, and she hears about it when I do beat her, but I don't rub it in, but I'm like,
The other thing is that this past year's Fall Cup, did she not have to play Paige Shue?
Yeah.
The 2018 World Champion, and she
her.
won.
Yeah.
She beat Paige.
Yeah. Donna has had some, like at VTI 2 years ago, she had to play Elaine King in a match, and she beat her. And she was playing for Blue Ridge, and Blue Ridge had one of their guys had to leave for the last match on Saturday, so they were already down a match, and they were staring at that 0-3 start. That pretty much, you know, if you're 0-3 on Saturday, you're not going to make the finals, and you're probably going to get stuck playing the loser leave town match at VTI because the bottom 2 teams play, and the losing team gets put on the waiting list, and the first team on the waiting list comes in the next year. And there are so many teams wanting in that waiting list is like 20 years long. So if you get put out of that tournament, you might not be alive when your team finally gets.
I've heard about that. People have told me, like, I've thought about, you know, it'd be cool to do a VTI team, but I'd be playing Pro Master by the time I got to play it.
Never know. But anyway, she had to play Elaine in that match, and she beat her. And Donna's win kept them from losing that match, and they won that match. If she had lost the match, they would have lost the match. And if she wins the match, then they win the match. And they gave her the team MVP just because of that one match, because it kept them in the tournament for the next year. Because instead of being 0-3 on Saturday, they were 1-2. And then I think they won one match on Saturday, and or maybe tied, and they didn't have to play in the. I call it the loser leave town match because that's an old wrestling term.
I mean,
wrestling back in the 70s and 80s, they used to do loser leave town matches, and if you lost the match, you had to leave town. You couldn't come back and wrestle there for a while. So yeah, cool. She's done a lot of good stuff, man. She's awesome.
Oh, we also, when we get up to the board, we should look and see how many times she's won.
She's won more than anybody. She's won like 12 or 13 times.
I will say this is one thing that really does annoy me about women playing disc golf, is when at the disc golf store, there will be a lady that comes in, and she will not ask me for help about disc selection or what they should be throwing. Look, I know my stuff. If you need help, ask me. That's literally my job. Oh, that was weak.
Put a diamond in their hand and put a 150 class putter.
Leviathan and a Genius.
Yeah, there you go.
Or whatever Donna throws.
She throws diamonds, she throws Leviathans, she throws Jades. She has a Starlight Wraith that she just absolutely loves, and is ruining the time when it finally gets broken or it gets lost because they don't make them anymore. But I mean, Donna's really good, and the reason she's good is the same reason that anybody can be good: fairways and putts.
Yeah.
Hit the fairway and make your putts.
Don't be little in the middle. Nope. So is this an original?
Yep. Think about this hole with a Midnight Flyer.
Backhand roller.
Well, they didn't roll very well because they were, when they hit the ground, they were like, boom.
Yeah.
You hear that like, kind of weird.
I bet this was tough.
Yeah, it was.
Did anybody really do this then?
With one of those? Probably not.
Dang.
But, it wasn't long after the course was installed that the bevel edge disc came out. And,
that was that.
Crazy difference, yeah. I never owned an old Eagle.
Like
do a Lightning. The old Lightning, like some of those Lightning discs, they were very similar, at least in the way the rim looked, to the first bevel edge disc. Good transition, but I don't know if it's going to stand up.
Man.
No, it is.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's on the green. That's like 25 short.
Dang. All right, I need to put a little bit of move on them.
I have stuck discs in that tree out of bounds before on this hole.
So, I remember when the tree fell on this hole. Right in front of the basket?
Yeah. Oh! Just a touch too. That's a rarity. I'm glad you got that on film.
He is absolutely spanked me.
No, that's a rare deuce for me on that hole. I have to throw a roller as good as I'm capable of to get that putt. I used to have a Stingray back in the day. I could throw it hard and flat off that tee, and it would just roll right over into the perfect angle. And I deuced it so many times back in the day with that Stingray. I've got some old Cyclones and an X-Clone.
That's another example of how much disc golf has changed. Do you remember when Cyclone was fast as disc?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember when the Eclipse was also like?
The Eclipse was before the Cyclone.
Okay, the Eclipse was before?
Yeah. Yeah. That guy I was talking about earlier, Bobby Ellis, used to putt with Eclipses. He just had a feel for it. And he'd putt a little Annie, and it just, because they're stable on a putt, they're going to be even more stable. And yeah, he putt with them, or Stingrays. A lot of people putt with Stingrays back in the day.
That's crazy.
I remember when the Cyclones came out, I can't remember what end of his best driver was. I want to say it was probably the Viper, but I could be a few years off in either direction on that, but Cyclones came out and they blew people's minds.
Because they were so fast.
Yeah, you could throw it all the way to the basket on this hole.
I mean, now do you know what a flight number on a Cyclone is?
Probably a 9.
74-22. That's a Cyclone now.
Yeah, the purple Cyclones were the ones that everybody wanted because of all the colors. They were the most overstable.
Did you ever throw a Pegasus?
Yes, I did.
I have one of those.
Yep, I threw Pegasus, I threw Banshees, I threw Rams. If it was overstable, that was what I played. Because I played a flex. That was my main drive, was a flex shot.
I threw a Ching Bomb when I first started.
Yeah, Ching Bomb. I had Ching Bomb.
That was like one of my favorite discs.
Ching was a great company, and their discs felt great.
They really did.
All their discs felt good. They had full color stamps. That was really cool. You know, it never happened before. There was a lot of good Ching discs. Sniper, kind of like the Patrol.
Really?
Yeah, very similar in the way it looked and felt.
They also had stuff like the Precision.
I didn't throw that.
The Precision, in case you don't know, the Precision has like almost a complete circle of thumb indentions. That if you hold it here, it's supposed to be flippy. You hold it here, it's supposed to be overstable. You hold it here, it's supposed to go straight.
Okay.
Absolutely did not work.
I was going to say that doesn't sound like it.
Did not work even remotely, but it's a very interesting disc.
It's a marketing thing.